This is Philips' £179 Perfect Draft beer machine. And this is Aldi's £109 equivalent, which fits the same size Perfect Draft kegs as the Philips. We've been testing out both of them for the last 2 weeks during one of the hottest periods the UK has ever experienced. And in this video, you'll see which of the two pulls the perfect pint, which one struggles to keep the beer cool in a heat wave, and which one is easier to keep clean. Plus, I'll look at power consumption, noise levels, and if either would survive in a garden bar. Both of these beer machines are designed for home use. They take 6-litre kegs and dispense chilled draft beer at 3 degrees, or at least they're supposed to. There are more than 50 different beer brands and cider available in the kegs that fit them, ranging from Stella to San Miguel and Hawkston. You can buy the kegs online, order via the Perfect Draft app, or pick one up in select retailers, including Majestic Wine, Morrison's and Asda. They cost about £40 a keg, though if you buy the Philips machine, there are often bundle deals for your first one, and you get £5 towards your next purchase when you return an empty keg. In addition to that, you can earn beer tokens by purchasing, which are logged in the app and can be used to get a discount on your purchase. Philips make 3 versions of their Perfect Draft machine. The black version is the one we bought. It's the most basic machine and the cheapest. Then there's the Perfect Draft Original, which is more or less the same as the black one, but it's £20 more expensive. And finally, there's the Perfect Draft Pro, which has variable temperature control, app connectivity, and improved temperature stability for the hottest days. Little did we realise when we selected the black version for this test quite how important temperature stability was going to be. The Aldi machine has features which are similar to the Perfect Draft Pro. There's a display, temperature control, a volume gauge, and a countdown from 30 of the days that your keg will remain fresh. If you unplug it halfway through the countdown, you can manually reset it to the correct day. Both machines come with instructions, but the printed instructions for the Philips only have pictures, which are sometimes a little bit hard to decipher. Like all Philips appliances, there is a QR code you can scan to go online for more details. But the link to the user manual just sends you to a short PDF and some frequently asked questions, so it's not much more helpful than the printed manual. In comparison, the Aldi manual is more in-depth, with written instructions to guide you through each step. Getting a keg from room temperature to 3 degrees can take in excess of 10 hours in the Philips and up to 23 hours in the Aldi machine. But you can help both of them along by pre-chilling the kegs for between 3 and 12 hours in your fridge, providing, of course, you actually have the space. We ended up pre-chilling our kegs together for 24 hours, but we were surprised that we then had very different results after we installed them in the machines. The Aldi dispenser showed the temperature of the keg was at 3 degrees after about 15 minutes. Now, knowing what I know now about the Aldi machine, I wish we'd actually tested this at the time to check if the beer really was that temperature, but instead we just waited for the Philips to catch up so we could pull the first pints side by side. The Philips machine took an additional 2 hours and 45 minutes from keg installation until the point when it said it was ready to dispense. So at this point, the Aldi seemed to be leading on price, features, the manual and the cooling time. But we hadn't poured a pint from either machine yet, and we were blissfully unaware of the fact that it was about to get stupidly hot in the UK, which was going to prove to be a colossal challenge for one of these beer dispensers. So it was time to pull the first pints, and having waited for more than a day for the beer to be ready and with friends over for the evening, everyone wanted to know which machine was going to deliver the perfect results. First, we pulled a pint from the Aldi machine. And then we pulled one from the Philips. And let's be honest, the results were a little bit disappointing. But we did think that the first pints might be a write-off while the machine's pressurised and got rid of the air in the pipes. We did, in fact, pull many pints that first evening, with everyone wanting to have a go. The technique wasn't always spot on, but the pints did improve and the heads got smaller as the evening went on. But the Philips always seemed to have the edge over the Aldi when you put the results side by side. Of course, we weren't alone in sharing our beer dispensers with friends. These beer pumps are mainly bought for social drinking, and a lot of the time that means people who buy them want to be able to have them in their home bars at the bottom of the garden. The trouble is, a lot of home bars are built in wooden buildings that can get very hot over the summer. Before filming this video, I'd actually organised with a friend to take both pumps to try out in his garden bar for a couple of days to see if they could cope with the heat. But as it turns out, I needn't have worried because the temperatures in our house were about to match what I expected to see in his bar. On day 3 of our pump testing, the weather in our part of the UK peaked at 30 degrees, but the Aldi machine managed to keep the beer at a steady 3 degrees. On day 4, it peaked at 31 degrees, and the Aldi machine started to struggle with the display showing the temperature had crept up to 4 degrees by 7 o'clock at night. On day 5, temperatures in the UK broke records, and locally we recorded daytime highs of 35 degrees. We set up a thermometer in the north-facing room that the beer pumps were in and registered an indoor temperature of 27.5 degrees. The Aldi machine was clearly struggling, but of course the Philips machine doesn't actually show a live reading of the keg temperature. So the only way we could measure the temperature of both was by pulling pints and measuring them with a probe. First up, the Aldi machine. The frothy head was an immediate indicator that the beer was too warm. The temperature probe measured the beer as 14 degrees, but we suspected the head might be throwing the reading off a little bit. The pint from the Philips looked in better shape, and the temperature probe gave us a reading of 2 degrees. Straight after the Philips reading, we decided to give the Aldi pint a second go. So we scooped the foamy head off it and went back in with the probe. This time it read 10 degrees, better, but still massively off the results that you would want, and a clear win for the Philips. And there are a couple of other really important comparisons between these machines. Firstly, power. I ran an energy monitor on both of them for the first week of testing. Our hunch was that the Aldi machine was going to use more power because it was working harder to, and failing to, keep the beer cool. And the results in our test showed that although they used similar power, the Aldi one did use a little bit more. But both would cost you about £2 to run for a week at current energy prices, and probably a little less if they weren't keeping the beer cool on one of the hottest weeks of the year. There's also a significant difference between the two when it comes to noise levels. Although it proved hard to capture the real difference with a decibel meter and a microphone, the Philips is noticeably quieter. I suspect because it's better insulated. In comparison, I'm afraid I could not live with the Aldi machine because you could hear the fan running constantly from all rooms of our house. However, I appreciate I'm more sensitive to sound than the average person, and if you could shut it away in a basement or annex, this might not be a problem for you. And then the final significant difference, cleaning. The two machines are constructed in different ways. The Philips uses the disposable pipe, which comes included with every keg. So when the keg needs replacing, you simply remove and dispose of the pipe and then rinse the tap. In comparison, the tap on the Aldi pump is permanently attached to the housing. So to clean, you have to detach the line from the keg and pull the tube out of the tap. If you want to wash the tap, you'd have to wash the whole beer dispenser. The Aldi machine produces less waste and is more environmentally friendly, but the process for swapping the keg in the Philips is faster and easier. So your choice. Do let me know which one you would pick in the comments. And don't forget, if you'd like to see more videos like this, please make sure you subscribe.